I always have the feeling that some of the stuff that we talk about, because it's so countercultural to the physical church, the ideology, that I'm like, don't say this stuff in your physical church environment because you could get fired. Like I'll give you a perfect example of this, and Flat Cap, you may be able to agree. Like I was on a church staff, and the pastor, and I'm in a room with a bunch of campus pastors. The lead pastor is at the conference table, and so he's at the head of the conference table. It's maybe a dozen people, senior leaders in the church, and the pastor's talking about how he wants to see life change happen, and he sees salvation, 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 salvation. Like that's the senior metric. And it's just like that's like the main thing he's looking about. And so he paused for a second, and I raised my hand. I was not the brightest employee. I've talked about this. I was a horrible church staffer. And so he's like, yes. And I'm like, well, I have a question, because, yes, salvations are important, but don't we want to get to the place where they're in community, where we're discipling them, and where they're, even being empowered to start to disciple some other people, and where they're bringing people to Christ? Like, he was actually a big fan of the Rick Warren kind of purpose-driven life baseball diamond. And I was like, you're really, celebrating this idea of singles. And yeah, singles are important, but man, I'd also love it if some people could get some doubles or triples, or if we got those singles to actually make it all the way around the base and work together as a team to develop it. Like, aren't we a little misaligned? And this pastor looked at me and gave me like the death stare for a little too long, and it's like I'm not even going to acknowledge that. And shifted gears into another something else to talk about. And it's funny. It's like a lot of what we're talking about is counter-cultural to what happens in the church. Now, what we're talking about in 2025, it's not for everybody, even at the physical church level.
Exactly.
But it's enough for somebody. And also I was talking about this with my board of directors last night, with the Church.digital board of directors. In 2025, I want 25 physical churches to buy into this idea of hybrid does not mean broadcasting your church services online, but we get to the place where we're mobilizing digital missionaries to be an outpost, and a church is responsible for discipling, mobilizing, and releasing missionaries in physical or digital space. All I want is 25 to a freaking month to come on board and do this.
It's so funny. I was just watching what chat is saying in Twitch, and they were all having the conversation about putting your stream online is not digital. It is not connecting with community, because I can go watch a VOD later. It doesn't matter that it's live. If I'm not in your community, it doesn't matter if it's live. It only matters to the person that's missing church and they're homesick, or they're on vacation and they want to feel like they're there. But if you want to feel like you're part of the community, you need several people who are in the chat, engaging the people that are in there, having conversations as it's going along. You can do that on any platform. I mean, or I should say most platforms, maybe not any platform, but usually there's a feature for engagement. When COVID happened, I realized, I was one of those weird people that had been broadcasting and live streaming 10 years before COVID. So it wasn't new to me, but all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, we weren't intentional about reaching people far from the church. We just had it so that people who were at home could jump in, and we made some shifts. I made sure I had a person greeting people. What was really fun was I would pre-record some of the parts of the service. So I would sit in the church while it was being broadcast, just the tech crew and myself, and we'd be there, and I would be chatting in YouTube live while I might be actually on screen. And that was a whole lot of fun, engaging in community and being able to do those things. So yeah, it's
love it. So much potential. Yeah, I know we've got your next person on, and so I'm gonna release you. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go hug my wife and kids. I don't know if you saw Flat Cap. My wife brought
I
me
saw,
Starbucks, and so
very nice.
it's not the Starbucks barista messed up. It's not sugar free vanilla. It's vanilla syrup, and I'm a diabetic, and so I took a sip of
Oh
this thing, and I
no,
was
oh
like,
no, no.
and so if anybody wants to swing by the house and pick up a venti Starbucks, that's iced coffee, which with vanilla syrup, that is incredible. But I'm already like, not well as a result of it. Feel free to come by. Just fly down here to Miami, get some Starbucks. Um, so help me with this. One, I want you to set up your next guest, but I'm going to bring her on and exit out. Am I bringing on just awkwardly? Am I bringing on the avatar or both, or
Yeah,
what am I doing?
yeah.
Just the avatar.
Just bring on the avatar. Yeah, just bring on the
Okay,
avatar.
cool. So while I'm managing the setup for that, why don't you set up your next guest?
All right. So I'm watching you people is a great name, by the way. So she's on Twitch with me. She's been in several different communities. She is part of the God's Many Blessings community. So like earlier, I brought Taco on. God's Many Blessings is another group of streamers that are connected together. And she's got some physical limitations. She's got some mobility limitations. And so I invited her on. She's one of my moderators. Ukulele is as well. And moderators are those people that are in your community, hanging out. And like we were just talking about, they greet the people when they come in. And you know what? I love listening to suggestions from people in my community. And she is one that I always am listening to. And so she said, hey, I'd like to have a redeem so that I can pass cookies to people. They're diabetic cookies because you don't actually eat or consume anything. So we can pass you cookies, Jeff, and you can enjoy whatever cookies. She put a randomizer in there. And so now cookies can be passed around when someone comes in, and you just share love by passing them, virtual cookies that you can enjoy. So she can't do maybe everything that every other moderator does with tech limitations and those kinds of things. So I don't expect her to. I just invite her to do the things that she can, how she can. And it's amazing how you can give people the ability to do something, try and experiment. I think that's one of the things I've heard a few people talking about too, that maybe I've been blessed over the years of being in churches that were okay with experimenting and trying things. When I was in physical churches, and when you were talking with John Pyle earlier, I was just thinking about that same kind of thing of if you want to try something digital, don't tell them it's a permanent thing. Say, let's try it for this length of time and assess it. Let's try it for this length of time and assess it. Okay, we're going to go do YouTube and we're going to try it, but we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it for this long, see what impact we have. And then we assess it and we make corrections. I think I started this year. Okay, so I tried doing gaming streams. I thought I was going to go hard this year. I started out in January, 2 days a week. In addition to my normal streams, I did 4 hours a day. On top of that, I shouldn't say a day. It was Monday and Tuesday. So 2 days a week, I did 8 hours of gaming. It just didn't get any traction. Nobody wanted to watch me game. They're like, no, that's not what we don't come to you for watching you game. We don't care about the game you're playing. Oh, you're just picking a game that's an RPG. Yeah, we already know. There's other people doing better. So I tried it for 3 months, gave it a good go, and I said, yeah, that's not working. Let's put that aside and do something else. So I think that's one of the things that, like, cost-wise, to experiment in digital space, it didn't cost me much. It cost me time. Yeah. And now I've got some other things I'm thinking about, and I love people. So when she comes on, she also talked me into doing this, a redeem for Take My Hat Off. So I already have a redeem on my stream, which is you can pick one of the hats behind me and I'll switch hats. So she came up with the redeem for no hat for 5 minutes. And I only let it happen once while I'm on stream. That's it. Doesn't matter how long the stream is. 5 minutes without my hat. She gets all excited. She's like, the good hair. And it's like, okay, I will do this for you. I will do this for you. And you do those things and they develop while you're in community. The same way that you have nicknames for people, the same way that you have inside jokes, the same way that you You can talk about something and nobody on the outside knows anything about it. So the people that are hanging out in my stream, yeah, she's typing over in the chat.
Yeah,
The good hair.
she's chatting. Yeah, it's so good.